Tareen Sab, I would like to ask you first on what, because this evening, I mean, I know that a lot of you are members of PTI. As someone who's coming outside and watches and is interested and curious, I would first like to ask you, what is PTI's position on land reform?
PTI's position on land reform is very straightforward. Number one, we have looked at the ownership structure of Pakistani agriculture, and we find that 80% of the land is held by people who are small landholders. 80% of the land is held by them. Yes. 80% of the land is held by them. Because of Muslim inheritance law, over time, the big land holdings have broken up. And what has happened now is that where in southern Punjab, parts of southern Punjab and Sindh, we still have landowners with large areas of land under their control. However, in the record of rights, the land is not on their names. So, here's a guy with 5,000 acres of land, and if you go to a record, he owns to 200, and all other land is held in the names of his people who he has influence over, but he still holds the land. So if we do a land reform, if we say this is the maximum limit, and there is a land reform that happened in 1972 with an active limit of 200 acres, 150 in Punjab and 200 in Sindh, nothing changes. So what we are doing is, what our constitution says is, and what we believe in is, that we will implement the 1972 land reform in letter and spirit to ensure that the ceilings of land that were enumerated at that time are actually implemented. And people do not then hold on to land in other people's names. Then this can only be done by changing the rural power structure. And so just land reform itself is not good enough. It has to, our local governance model, for instance, will be the beginning of the change. We will also computerize land record, and I think that will pinpoint where people are misusing misusing the law. Another thing is Benami. Benami is a legal term in Pakistan, which means that you can hold property in other people's names. There is a law on this. And we will, one of the first things we'll do is ban Benami transactions. We will make it illegal so that we shorten the rules around illegal use of these.
My next question is that when you've been speaking about this village format, that you're talking about the return to the Patwari system and the village structure. Panchayat. And we're using the Patwaris and all of that. But you seem to be speaking as if those people who are living in the villages have an integrity which is separate from the corruption which exists in the rest of the country. I mean, when I go to the villages and you look and you ask people for decisions, whether it's the Chaudhry or whether it's the elders, you look at the system, whether it's the Jirga system or the Panchayat system, and it's the elders, no women, and there's a lot of different qualifications. So the idea of it being a positive thing existing rather than something which needs to be changed, I'd like you to throw some light on that.
Number one, you must believe in the power of the vote. We must believe in the power and the responsibility of ordinary human beings. Once given responsibility, that they once given authority, that they will be responsible. The problem is, we don't have a system of alternate dispute resolution. 1, 2, our courts are clogged. 3, it's not a very good system in the courts. So what has happened more and more is that people have stopped taking their issues and their problems to the courts and to the legal authorities. And informal jirgas and panchayats have sprung up, which are not backed by law, which do not know how to operate, which operate outside the bounds of law. What we want to do is to create an ADR, alternate dispute resolution system, which is backed by a complete law which defines what they can do and what they cannot do. So issues that relate specifically, one of the first things that we discussed this when we were talking about the panchayat system, and we had a group of very liberal people from cities that we also involved in this. And the first thing obviously was this fear fear that women would not get their right, and the fact that this will be misused. So the law that we will promulgate, the law we will design, and we start to design it, it will seek to ensure that such kinds of things are not allowed to happen, and the panchayat system will not be able to deal with cases of rape. It will not be allowed to deal with the cases of violence against women, which will be outside the pale of the ADR system. It will have to be the norm.
That connects to my next question. What is your position on religious minorities in Pakistan?
We completely support religious freedom, and we believe that the basic foundation of Islam, if you read the Quran everywhere, this is a religion of tolerance, and it is a religion which recognizes rights of minorities, and we fully support every citizen's right to whatever religion it prefers, he or she prefers.
So just to add to that, we've had Jahagir sir, we've had a very large group of Christians here who have actually officially joined us. They're a group of 120 people led by Maxim, and his brother is in Murid, who's also going to be joining us in terms of bringing 10,000 of his voters to Pakistan.
I think I'll just ask a last final question and then we'll open it up to the House. My last question is, what would Tehreek-e-Insaf's position be on the transparency of funding to the ISI?
Let me sort of take this question to make it a little broader. No government in Pakistan can even think and contemplate bringing change until it is a government which has real power. And real power means not sharing power with the military. It's as simple as that.
Very good answer.
I believe that over time the military has gathered more and more power as has gone on, and the ISI, for instance, has become a very powerful organization. But that is mostly, let's not blame only them, let's blame ourselves as well. It's a national issue.
Indeed.
Because we have given up power, we have created a vacuum. And this particular government that is in power today has become masters of that, because they've actually outsourced defense of Pakistan to the Pakistan army, and they have let them take the decision. They have not stood forward and been positive about how they wanted to have foreign or defense policy. They have deferred to the Pakistani military, and it's not been very nice, and the results also are not good. So without control of the military, there is no control in Pakistan. So we think that with support of the people of Pakistan, with an honest government, with a government that is dedicated to bring real change to the people, we will, inshallah, be able to.
I'm an actuary with Lloyd's of London. I was working with one of the big four during the last recession and got to see some of the things in economy in the Western powers. Now clearly their state of economy is far worse than Pakistani economy in terms of debt, in terms of deficit. So I think that issues in Pakistan are clearly solvable. Our major issue in economy is trade deficit. And what does PTI propose on solving our trade deficit? That is, we import more and export less.
I think I mentioned this in my presentation, that we have a permanently negative balance of trade. And we know why it's there, because we have a low-tech, undiversified industrial base. And that is what we should seek to do. We should seek to diversify our trade base, our industry base. Plus, we will focus on developing indigenous resources to reduce our dependence on imports. And take the case of energy. Our import bill has gone up from I think it's $2 billion to $12 billion in the last few years. If the way things are going, if we have business as usual and we don't have a new energy policy, in 10 to 15 years we will have an import bill of $60 billion. And so we have to change, it's unaffordable, we have to replace that by development of our own third resources, idle resources, gas resources. so that our trade balance becomes better in that. So there are a host of different things we have to do, but in general, developing our own indigenous resources and diversifying our industrial base is really the key.
We will need to import technology in the first place to develop the resources.
See?
We will need to import a lot of technology in industry to develop those resources in the first place, so we have to go more into trade deficit to come out.
Importing technology, it's a long debate, but with the other question also, the point is, we will diversify our industrial base, because without doing that, it's not possible to have a long-term solution to Pakistan.
तरीन साहब आपने माशाल्लाह बड़े अच्छे ख्वाब दिखाए, अल्लाह करे ऐसा हो कि हम इन ख्वाबों को पूरा हो। दूसरी बात यह है कि अगर इमरान खान साहब टोटल पावर तो क्या, अगर नॉमिनल पावर पे भी नहीं आ सके तो फिर हम क्या करेंगे? थैंक यू।
देखिए, ये एक सवाल उठाया जाता है कि अगर आप इलेक्शन स्वीप नहीं करते, जीतते नहीं, आप यू हैव 50, 60, 80 सीट्स एंड यू आर इन ऑपोजिशन, वी विल सिट इन ऑपोजिशन, वी विल नॉट जॉइन एनी कोलिशन unless the sign off on our program of change.
सर मेरा सवाल है,
let me finish. और अगर हम असेंबली में होंगे तो believe me, we will be a real opposition. We will not be the दो नंबर opposition.
It's very big if. You know that. No, it's a matter of country. It's not a joke. If he doesn't become prime minister, what should we do then? That's what I want to know.
Okay, thank you.
Excuse me, no, excuse me, sorry.
Nothing.
नहीं ठीक है। नहीं ठीक है, सब नहीं एक सेकंड सर, जज्बाती ना हो जाए। One second, excuse me, excuse me.
Okay, we'll come to you in time. We'll come to you everyone in time.
One second. I would like to request the House that though this is a very passionate issue, what is going to happen in Pakistan, and we all get emotional about these things, I would like us to please refrain from asking broad questions or making comments. Let's talk about what this evening has been tonight. So we're talking about policy. We have a question from the gentleman there, and then we're moving there, and then
only one question each person, because if we go around asking question after question, then it will not work. Each person give one question, 1 minute, and a genuine question. It doesn't mean that answering question keep going on. I have one question.
Yes.
From 64 years, my father made Pakistan. I'm just telling this. They take everything from me. I'm living in England for last 46 years. I'm asking one question. जितने भी इलेक्शन पाकिस्तान में हुए हैं, वो सब इंजीनियर थे, वो सब पहले से तयशुदा होते हैं। आपका इलेक्शन भी आएगा, वो तयशुदा होगा। उसके ऊपर अमेरिकन पैसा लगाएंगे और पाकिस्तानी वोट पैसा देते देते हैं। मुझे यही खतरा है। मैंने इमरान साहब की पॉलिसी जो है वो बर्तानिया से भी ले सकते हैं।
आप अपने सवाल पे आ जाइए।
मेरा सवाल यही है कि पाकिस्तान के इलेक्शन कभी भी सही और फेयर नहीं हुए और ये भी नहीं होंगे। और उसकी
मेरा आपका जवाब सिर्फ ये है कि ये आपके मसाइल पाकिस्तान के सही हैं, ये सब कुछ ठीक है, इश्यूज बहुत होते हैं, तो क्या करें यार, गिव अप कर दें? हम तो गिव अप नहीं करेंगे।
Your policies are brilliant, there's no doubt about that. But to put them in practice, you have to win power. And if you are saying that you will sit in opposition with 60 or 80 seats,
if we don't win power,
if you don't win power, God forbid, if you don't win power, you'll sit in the opposition seat. Do you think that the country can afford these evil people for another 4 or 5 years?
Thank you.
No, the country cannot. But if the people vote, we will bow before the will. The will of the people is the most important thing.
Okay.
The other thing is, believe me, we will change the narrative of politics in Pakistan, even if you're in the opposition. We will change the narrative. We will talk about policies, issues, we will talk about real things, or the kind of things that we have talked about today.
Okay, again, I would like to reiterate, if we could stop talking about how the meta structure of how corrupt Pakistan is and how it's always been, we'll never move beyond any kind of level of discussion. We have a young gentleman at the back.
Yeah, hi. My name is Sohaib. I'm just wondering, Imran Khan says, for example, he'll bring change in 90 days. The change has to come, but it's an evolution. Change cannot come overnight. And you sit on a lot of posts, and you know that change is a policy. It's a whole, what you say, theory. It cannot just come overnight. For example, you say revenue has to be increased. Yes, cash is king. It has to be increased. But for example, let's say finance minister says, document economy, increase VAT, say direct taxes increases.
We understand that, so,
but see, what happens is like Mall Road closes, Liberty closes.
Yeah, short question, please.
No, Southern
Short question.
Okay.
Mall Road closes, Southern closes, Liberty closes. What would India do to counter this?
तो मुझे बता लिबर्टी बंद हो जाएगी तो क्या फर्क पड़ जाएगा?
Policy, for example,
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your question. Thank you.
Okay, let me answer your question. 90 days. Imran Khan says 90 days. Yes. We all know that even the policies that I have talked about today will take time for their benefits to come to the people. But in 90 days, what will happen is that a sea change will occur in the way Pakistan is going. We will set ourselves and the country on the path to where success lies at the end. So the most important thing, young man, is to take the first step in the right direction. Set the direction right, take the first step, everything will follow from there.
My name is Dr. Afzal. I'm a consultant surgeon and active member of PTI. I would like to ask you, now, the biggest financial fraud on the country was committed over the last 20 years in the form of IPPs, in which billions of dollars have been washed away into foreign banks. Whereas you can only produce energy for 2 rupees per unit, it is now being sold at 20. Now, what plans have you got for the hydropower projects? Because the Himalayas can produce electricity for the whole world, never mind just Pakistan. So this is the biggest fraud that has been committed. How are you going to use the hydropower project, which is the cheapest power that is available?
Let me give you the numbers. Now, we must deal with this. Look, we can't get carried away by saying things which are not actually realistic, because we have done our numbers, we have done on the energy front especially. Let me give you numbers. Pakistan's hydroelectric potential is between 50,000 to 60,000 megawatts. That's it. 50,000, 60,000. We have exploited only 6,600 so far. Okay, so there's a huge unexploited potential there. Now, what does hydro cost today? Tarbela, yes, is 1 rupee, 1.5 rupee a unit because it's depreciated. Today, you put a hydro project in, the cost, the tariff that will make hydro work, which is tariffs that are being given now, is 9.5 rupees, which is the cheapest. 9.5 rupees is going to be the cost of current hydro. Yes, hydro is the way to go. We have a whole policy on hydro. We have identified project after project. But let me tell you, at the end of the day, it's niyat and governance. There is a project in Pakistan called the Neelam Jhelum hydroelectric project, 900 megawatts. In 1988, this is a sorry state of Pakistan. In 1988, it was approved for 15 billion rupees. 15 billion. 3 years ago...
Can you be quiet?
3 years ago, it was approved again for 85 billion. And 2015 was supposed to be the ending date. Now they have come in with a revised proposal and they are saying, sorry, we were wrong, it's going to cost 350 billion. And the completion date is now 2018 and 19. So it's a joke. Unless a real government which is honest comes and which is, the will, the vision and the ability. Remember these 3 words.
Okay, sorry, we have a lot of people here. The lady here.
How are you going to control the population of explosion in Pakistan, given the religious and social setup?
Our experience is, and I've worked a lot in rural primary health, it's not what we assume that people don't want to control births. The demand for birth control services is unmet in Pakistan. Unmet. Our failure is in reaching the people. Our failure is that birth control devices, which are almost given free to us by countries, or we have huge subsidies, are sold in markets. They don't go to the people who need them. We have very little training, very little learning on female healthcare in rural areas and in the poor of Pakistan. Once you get there, every woman comes and demands birth control devices, because they now have the knowledge that this is not on. So female education, getting primary health care down to the people, meeting the demand for these services is the first step. But obviously, as I said before, it's going to be education and education and education. And educating females is the definite and sure way of what
So my name is Rafi, I'm one of the auditors here. Just a quick question on the energy policy. So we've seen that, I went through the manifesto energy policy, and then it said that you were mainly focusing on private sector investment, such as in coal projects and that. So these companies, private sector doesn't work for free, it's not a charity. So they will want something in return as well. Now, in the UK, we've seen that even people in the higher tax bracket are struggling with, these skyrocketing energy prices because the companies are private. People in Pakistan are already burdened with that a lot, so how can you suggest that? How does that work?
Look, it has to be private sector driven. Look at the state of Pakistan's state sector, public sector. 400 billion rupees a year is lost by the public energy sector companies of Pakistan. Is that sustainable? What is the challenge of capital? We have 20,000 megawatts of installed capacity in Pakistan today. From between now and 2025, which is a very small 13 years, we will need at least another 40,000 megawatts of new generation capacity. That's billions and billions of dollars. Where will that come from? So in our energy policy, we have a whole mechanism of how to raise that money, where that capital has to come. That capital does not even exist in Pakistan. So we are going to create development institutions, energy funds, and here overseas Pakistanis again will play a role. You will have energy bonds and all sorts of other things that will bring capital investment to Pakistan. But without private sector, you will not have the money. You cannot have the money. And so the thing is, you have to regulate well. So we have a whole section on how how our gas and power regulators are going to be reformed. If you have good regulators, professional in them and not retired public servants, you will then be able to control private sector. So private sector, yes, works for a profit, but in a good regulated environment that can be controlled, and that is our only option. Because going to the public sector is Neelam Jena. 85 billion 3 years ago, 350 billion now.
The lady in the corner.
Mr. Tareen, thank you so much for speaking so eloquently on national and domestic agenda of PTI. I was wondering if you could kindly say a few words about the foreign policy, intended foreign policy, vis-a-vis India, vis-a-vis the States, vis-a-vis NATO, and most of all, what would be your policy on the nuclear deterrent?
What do you mean? Where do you want me to start? India or the United States?
Both are our friends.
The United States first. Look, we have a meeting with U.S. legislators, with U.S. People in power. And our point to them is very simple. They come to us and say, you are anti-American. And we say, no, we are not anti-American, we are just nationalist Pakistanis. And that is our right. So what happens is, our grouse with the Americans is as follows, and this we have articulated to them also. That our grouse with them is that fine, here you are, it is your right, and every country is right to push their own national interest. It is then up to the other country to push back with its national interest in the front. And therefore, you come to some kind of an agreement in which it is balanced. In Pakistan, this has not been true. What's happened in Pakistan is that the leadership, for years and years and years, to protect itself, forgets about Pakistan's national interest. And it sells Pakistan short. We will not let Pakistan be sold short. Because we don't want anything from the United States of America, for God's sake. What can they give us that we don't already have? So therefore, we will want to have a working relationship with them, but we will push back. And we will push back seriously with arguments, with reasons, with logic. We will not just get a stick and try to beat them. Regarding India, look, all over the world, regional trade is a big winner. Because of regional trade, countries have prospered. We would like to have regional trade with our neighbors, all neighbors. However, India must, before you start clapping, India must meet us halfway, at least meet us halfway. And the Kashmir dispute, which is the sore point, has to be settled, or progress has to be made towards settlement.
My name is Bilal Baloch. I did ISF in various cities of Pakistan, and now I'm doing in Bristol. My question is, sir, कि पाकिस्तान तहरीक इंसाफ के पास कोई ऐसा एजेंडा है कि अगर हमारे इलेक्शन सही नहीं होते, कि जिस तरह सुनामी की जो बात की जाती है, कि वो सुनामी रोड्स पे आ सकती है, कोई ऐसा एजेंडा है कि अगर बैलेट बॉक्स में नहीं जाते लोग, और नौजवानों का क्या होगा जो नौजवान खान साहब के साथ लगे हुए हैं, not for 80 seats in National Assembly. We want to see Imran Khan as a Prime Minister. और अगर वो नहीं आते,
हमारा फैसला है कि we will not let this regime, the Zari regime, try to hijack the election. हम आपके साथ मिलकर सोनाली को सड़कों पे लेके आएंगे इलेक्शन से पहले। अगर हम लड़ेंगे नहीं तो ये हमें बात देंगे।
मेरा नाम जमशेद रियाज है और मैं ब्रिटिश एशियन वेलफेयर एसोसिएशन का जनरल सेक्रेटरी हूँ। आप सबसे पहले आप तशरीफ है, थैंक यू। और आप भी, मेरा एक बड़ा ही डिफरेंट क्वेश्चन है पाकिस्तान के मुताल्लिक, पाकिस्तान की तरक्की के मुताल्लिक, सब प्रॉब्लम्स के मुताल्लिक सब बात कर रहे हैं। गुड, वेरी गुड ही होना चाहिए क्योंकि हम सच्चे पाकिस्तानी हैं। क्या PTI में कोई ऐसी पॉलिसी बनाई है कि जब भी कभी या अब भी जब कोई भी पार्टी आती है, इंट्रोडक्शन करती है, तो जो हमारे ओवरसीज पाकिस्तानी हम लोग हैं, इनको यही कहा जाता है मुल्क सवारो, हम लोग फंड्स देते हैं, जलसे होते हैं, बहुत कुछ हम लोग यहाँ से लेते हैं, और विच इज ओवरसीज। क्या आप ये समझते हैं कि हमारे ओवरसीज पाकिस्तानी को भी बीइंग ए नेशनल असेंबली में और सूबाई असेंबली में सीट्स होनी चाहिए, हमारा राइट्स होना चाहिए? क्या ये है या होगा? प्लीज
very tricky one. देखिए, अब आप खुद सोचें, this is a debate that's ongoing, and the good thing about PTI is we are a democratic party, and the debate is ongoing in front of everybody else. हम लड़ते भी हैं, झगड़ते भी हैं, but at the end of the day we are still PTI members and Pakistan, and all of you are, and all of us are. ये एक डिबेट है। मसला ये है कि आप ये मुझे बताएं कि अगर हम अलाउ करें कि एक डुअल नेशनैलिटी के लोग आपके कैबिनेट मिनिस्टर बन सकते हैं, तो आपको कोई मसला नहीं है ना, मगर वहां पे ऐसे लोग भी होंगे जो नेशनल होंगे कहीं और के, और शायद उस मुल्क के एजेंडे पे चले। तो ये बड़ा इशू है। वी हैव टू,
पूरी दुनिया की बात कर रहे हैं।
सो ये ट्रिकी सवाल है, and this is no decision yet on this, but this is being debated.
So Jahagir sir, just to carry on, can I ask you a question that's very close to our hearts here? What is your view on dual nationality? Are you going to deprive us, the overseas Pakistanis, who have worked day and night for our cause and political party-based funds, to not be able to stand in elections but just be able to vote?
Yes,
definitely. Our stand is definitely you have a place in deciding Pakistan's future leadership. Definitely.
Thank you very much for the talk.
Hang on.
Thank you very much for the talk. I've got two questions. One is around the village and reforms you're planning to bring in. You said that there would be an annual endowment of 2 million for every village. What sort of legislation is there to prevent any phantom villages from popping up? Because there would be, or have you done a census that this is the current state of the villages and this would be the count? And secondly, do you plan to urbanize all the villages? Because that's the impression.
Plan to?
Urbanize all the villages. And thirdly, like you're a big industrialist yourself, how can we sort of trust you to bring tax reforms which would be negative for rich people and tailored towards the poor of the country?
So, two different questions from my perspective. Look, the villages cannot be phantoms because, as I said, there is a mauza, there is a land record, there is a name, there is a record of rights. So phantom villages cannot exist. We know exactly what a village census, by the way, is carried out every 4 years, and the figure that I'm using is from the one carried out in 2008. Okay, so there's no possibility of a phantom village at all. But one of the questions from here was from the moderator that can it be hijacked? Yes. Some village may have a Chaudhry that makes sure control all the power in his hand. But remember, 80% plus villages will be democratic, because that is the nature of the Pakistani people. And once you give them authority, inshallah ta'ala, they will be responsible for their own self. Now, me as a businessman, big question. Ek jawab. I, sir, pay my taxes. I have always paid my taxes regularly. Let me tell you what I've done otherwise in the public domain. In 2010, in the National Assembly of Pakistan, I stood up at the for my budget speech, and I said, which is on record and also available on YouTube, I think somebody put it up, that we as members of the National Assembly of Pakistan have no right to pass this budget, which imposes taxes on the people of Pakistan if we do not pay our own taxes, and therefore we must declare what taxes we pay. And I immediately then publicly declared all the taxes I pay. Also, nobody else did, by the way. Out of 300 members, nobody else did. Now,
we're proud to have you in PTI because you've set an example.
And finally, there is nothing wrong with being an industrialist as long as you're honest in your taxes, which is the key. Absolute key is honesty in taxes. So we are public, we have our accounts on the website, go take a look. We are the highest tax-paying unit in our industry. I pay my taxes, my children pay the taxes. We are just the way we are. And by the way, in 2002, a law came out which put agriculture income tax on people owning more than 50 acres of land. And since 2002, I am paying my agriculture tax also. And for 10 years, by the way, for 10 years, I was the only person paying agriculture income tax. Now other people have started.
My name is Khalid Farooq. I'm PTI activist. My question is, you just given a sketch of the future of Pakistan. Same time, PTI launches final version constitution. In the final version constitution, it said, that every constituency, every ward, every village, they're going to get right up to choose their own electoral college and their own member of parliament, a member of national assembly. So that's very good. But which way are we going to educate to the broader scale people in Pakistan? Like you are teaching us through the slides, through the presentation, which way the futuristic Pakistan is going to be in. So same thing we need to do in the Pakistan as well, to teach the people in broader scale. So what's the plan to do that?
Well, first we have to make these kind of policies, and then we have a plan of taking them to the people. We have seminars, we have workshops, but we are translating things into Urdu, especially the local governance plan. And this will be one of our big election themes. We will go to the village and say, we are going to give you the power, my friend. You will have the power. You will not have to run after me for development funds. You will have the development funds placed in your bank account every year. So we are planning.
There's a young man in white shirt, yes.
My name is Usman and I'm representing ISF as well. Just one question, that what have you planned for the pollution and environmental issues of Pakistan?
Nothing so far. Sorry. Nothing so far. We will get to that. But it's important for Pakistan to first grow and provide jobs, and at the same time start on the environment basis. Now, environment, for instance, if you make villagers responsible for their destiny, they will start looking after the environment, and we are going to put that. We have already put that in one of the responsibilities they do. So, environment. A lot of environment issues can be controlled or can be improved by communities taking action. And as you have seen in Britain, it's communities that start this off. But yes, we have to do something about the motor rickshaw. We have to do something about these buses belching smoke. There is a smog that hangs over Lahore, which has serious health issues. Yes, those are as important as other things. But frankly, it's been 4 months and we haven't started to work on that.
Deforestation. There's a man with glasses, yes.
Tareen साहब, मेरा एक छोटा सा सवाल है। पिछले 15 साल से इमरान भाई हमें एक ख्वाब दिखा रहे, ड्रीम दिखा रहे कि there is a talk about dream over change, और 15 साल बाद आज हम देख रहे हैं कि वही पिछले 15 साल के जो करप्ट यूज हुए हुए और जिन्होंने ये सारा मेस क्रिएट किया हुआ है वो आज फिर वापस आ गए हैं। तो ये ड्रीम जो है अब एक नाइटमेयर हो रहा है हमारे लिए। तो what do you have to say about this? अगर मैं आपसे एक बड़ा for instance with no offense I'll ask you this question, आप पिछले 15 साल से आप नून लीग के साथ भी थे, आप you were advisor for CN, then you were with Kaf League, you were under Musharraf, you are now the functional league, people group, which themselves are feudal lords. Now you've jumped into the PTI wagon now. So what does change means? This is all good. मैं पिछले 10 साल पहले I was sitting here, same room में, सबके room था. Benazir said the same words. All same politicians saying the same words, good presentation, though there were some anomalies. So how you change right here and two, I can't see. We have lost that trust now.
Okay. First, little bit about myself. I was never in PMLN to begin with. I was an advisor to the Chief Minister of Punjab because he asked me to help him in agriculture, which I had some expertise, which I did. And then I was in PMLQ because yes, when President Musharraf came and said, these are the changes I want to make and these are the, I want to change the way Pakistan is run politically, yes, we came forward to be a part of that. Very soon he lost his way and we were all disappointed, as you are disappointed. Then I left PMLQ because I did not believe in the leadership of PMLQ. So I left and I went to PMLF. There was very little option. Where should I have gone? Noon? Never. People Party? Never. So I hid myself and I was basically a very quiet politician, not thinking about really much. And I was contemplating even leaving politics. In May last year, like the change is coming to the hearts of the Pakistani people. PTI is around 15 years, but PTI has become PTI now, okay, after 15 years. There is something going on in Pakistan in the hearts of the people. And this feeling for change has enveloped Pakistan. We are Pakistanis, so it's enveloped us also. In May last year, I decided, realized and said to myself personally, it's a personal journey also, that I will not do politics of the kind that I have done. I will now do politics for a cause, and if I can't do it, then I will leave politics. We went back, collected a group of people, talked about this, and believe me, people are changing, politicians are changing as well. And in May is the first time, Imran Khan had also been talking to me for a long time because we had been sharing ideas. But in May, we had started our first formal interaction and I went to him and said, this is what my thought is, I'm leaving this politics that I've been doing and I want change. Now,
Excuse me.
let me just finish. The point is, you have seen and heard lots of good presentations, but we are bringing a different kind of change. People ask us, yeah, इतने चीज़ आपने जैसा सवाल पूछा ना, तो how do you लोग implement हो जाएंगे? Presentation तो लोग बना ही लेते हैं, policy बना लेते हैं. So let me tell you what's the critical difference. The critical difference is we will take power away from ourselves and give it to people. We will give it to professionals in the energy sector. We will take power away and give it to people. Now, and we are here saying it now. Benazir would never have said that. Okay, one. Or PMLN, and they will never do it. But we, because we believe actually in change, we happen to believe in what we are talking about, we will first of all, we will look, हम अपने गिरवान में झांकेंगे. And we will change ourselves, अगर हम change नहीं करेंगे, and if we don't change the way we do things, ये नहीं होगा कभी. So yeah, this, you have to trust us. Okay. One final point.
Thank you, Jahagir. Mera question
I'm sorry, you weren't called to the house yet. There are a lot of people who have been waiting for Hanji, sorry, आप.
अस्सलामुअलैकुम, मेरा नाम सीमा सरवर है और यहाँ पे ब्रिटेन में काफ़ी अरसे से रह रही हूँ, मगर हमारा हार्ट अभी तक पाकिस्तान के साथ है. आप लोगों ने अभी तक शैडो कैबिनेट क्यों नहीं बनाई? शैडो कैबिनेट आपकी नहीं है, आपके पास इतना पैसा है कि आप अपने आवाम को खरीद सकते सीटों के लिए. 60 करोड़ की एक सीट अगर बिक रही है तो आपके पास इतना पैसा है कि आप सीटें खरीद सकते हैं.
मैं आपको एक बात कहूँ, ये भी yes, money is important in politics.
Very important. आप यूएसए में देखिए हर इलेक्शन में आपको पैसे की जरूरत है.
मैं आपको बात करता हूँ, मैं मेरी बात सुन लें. Yes, money is important, but believe me, there are many rich people in Pakistan who would love to be also members of National Assembly that they can't be. Because a constituency mein election ladna sirf paise se kar jata. There are other things required. You need friends, you need to know the people, you need a power group. बहुत सी चीजें और भी होती हैं. हम लोग constituency politician हैं. اور کئی ابھی تک پاکستان میں لوگ ہیں جو الیکشن میں جیتے ہیں تو 10 لاکھ روپے خرچ کر کے 15 لاکھ روپے خرچ کر کے ہول الیکشن. میں آپ کو فیکٹس آف دا گراؤنڈ بتا رہا ہوں. بائنگ آف ہول نیشنل اسمبلی سیٹ جسٹ بیکاز یو ہیو منی ڈزنٹ ہیپن. اور اگر کئی دفعہ ہوا ہے, مشرف صاحب کی پہلی الیکشن میں کئی ایسے لوگ آئے تھے who had a lot of money, باہر بائی وے اوورسیز سے آئے تھے, کئی چلے گئے واپس. They came and because there was a vacuum, there was a power vacuum, they came in and they spent money and the people believed that they would also would be good for them, but they were never elected again. ایک ہار گیا انہوں سے. So, جی shadow cabinet. No, shadow cabinet بنائیں گے. آپ کا خیال ہے پی ٹی آئی میں آلریڈی مسائل ہیں, ہم نے shadow cabinet بنا دی تو بالکل چھٹی ہو جائے گی. پر خان صاحب خود کر رہے ہیں, ان کے دماغ میں ہے. And I think he is a very good collector of good people.
اسی سلسلے میں یہ سوال سے ادھورا رہ گیا ہے اور بہت امپورٹنٹ سوال ہے. انہوں نے وہاں پر ٹکٹ بکتے ہیں جی. میں نے خود ٹکٹ 10 لاکھ کا 93 میں خریدا تھا اور میں نے 25 لاکھ کا بنا 93 میں. وہ سب ویلیو پیسے کی بہت تھی. آپ یہ صحیح کہہ رہی ہیں, اس کی آپ کیا کہتے ہیں؟
آپ کے سوال کا جواب, میں آپ کے سوال کا جواب دیتا ہوں. ہاں ٹکٹیں بکتی ہیں, آپ نے ٹکٹ خریدی, الیکشن میں ہارے جیتے, الیکشن میں ہارے جیتے.
اسی چکر میں کہ کچھ پاکستان میں چینج آئے. میرے خیال میں, میں اپنا ذاتی سے کہتا ہوں, اوورسیز پاکستانی, مجھے 40 سال ہو گئے یہاں پر بنایا جاتا ہے پاکستان کے پاکستان اوورسیز کے واحد. اس وقت میں کہنے کو تیار ہوں کہ واحد ان کی روشنی اس لیے نظر آ رہی ہے, انہوں نے یہ وعدہ کیا ہے کہ اوورسیز پاکستان میرے لیے بیک بون ہے. اور یہی وجہ ہے کہ ہم لوگ سارے اس وقت آپ کے سامنے ہیں. اور یہی وجہ ہے کہ میں آپ کو بتاتا ہوں, پریکٹیکل ایکسپیرینس یہ ہے کہ کچھ بھی بات میں سنائی نہیں ہوتی. جس وقت الیکشن کچھ ہی چاہتے ہیں بیٹھے رہتے ہیں اوورسیز پاکستان.
اوکے تھینک یو.
At the moment we have problems like circular debt, unemployment, inflation, right? And on top of these problems, which we can name a lot, the devolution of power system, which needs a lot of infrastructure, and then to solve all of these problems, we need money. And if you say that we're going to be collecting taxes from the people, so the reality is that Pakistani population is not habitual of paying taxes. So to make these people pay taxes, you need to educate them, which is going to take a couple of years. So initially, to solve all these problems, the solution is in the money. From where you're going to be getting this money? IMF, World Bank, or again going back to US. And ma'am, I have a humble suggestion for you. You should let PTI people to ask the questions, and rather than you should be letting other people who are not in ISF to ask the questions so that they can come.
Actually, I don't agree with that because this is not a PTI election. This is organized on behalf of
There's no such policy to invite any or other.
Please, this is organized by PTI and SOAS, and so it is being offered to the general public. So it is not a question of the people who are sitting in the front should only ask questions.
I'm not blaming, I'm just
Okay.
No, but I don't.
Okay, let's move on.
We have time for 3 more questions. The lady in the.
Let me answer this. دیکھیں یہ بہت بڑا ایشو ہے کہ آپ کیا کریں گے, بیکاز انہوں نے ملک کو بینکرپٹ کر دیا, دیوالیاں نکال دی. سو بٹ دیر آر ویز اینڈ مینز آف ڈوئنگ اٹ مائی فرینڈ. ایک تو یہ ہے کہ انٹل ٹیکسز کم ان, آپ کی جو لیکیجز ہیں ان کو روکنا سب سے ضروری ہے. جو آپ 400 سے 500 ارب روپیہ پبلک سیکٹر انٹرپرائز میں لوز کر رہے ہو وہ آپ روک سکتے ہیں. دیٹس ون. بٹ دا موسٹ کریٹیکل تھنگ یو مسٹ تھنک اباؤٹ اٹ کہ پاکستان میں اگر 100 روپیہ بجٹ ہوتا ہے نا فار سوشل سروس ڈیلیوری, اس میں سے آپ کا خیال ہے گراؤنڈ پہ کتنا پہنچتا ہے؟ 25-30. سو اگر آپ اپنی گورننس اچھی کر لو اور آپ ایفیشینٹ مینجمنٹ کر لو اور آپ آنیسٹ ہو اور آپ اپنے دوست بھی آپ آنرس لگاؤ اور آپ کے افسر بھی آنرس لگاؤ تو 100 روپے وہی ہوگا بٹ 30 روپے کے بجائے نیچے 60 روپے پہنچنا شروع ہو جائے گا. So that is doubling value. That is how you should think.
Good answer.
So we have to think about that کہ ہم اس کو efficiently خرچ کریں گے. ایگزسٹنگ پیسے پاکستان میں پیسہ بہت ضائع ہوتا ہے, اس کو ہم ضائع ہونے سے روکیں گے. انیشیلی اسی سے کام کریں گے. In the meantime taxes and our economic reforms will kick in انشاءاللہ تعالیٰ اور آگے کام چلتا ہے.
السلام علیکم, میرا نام مسز بٹ ہے. مجھے میرا خیال ہے کہ ٹیلی ویژن پہ کافی لوگوں نے سنا ہوگا, رابعہ سے اکثر بات ہوتی ہے ٹی وی پہ, اور فیس ٹو فیس بات کرنا مجھے کافی مشکل لگ رہا ہے. لیکن میں حیران ہوں پیپلز پارٹی کی عورتوں سے کہ وہ کیسے آ کے جنگ لڑتی ہیں جب ان کا
جھوٹ بولنا بہت آسان ہے.
کب کیسے جھوٹ بول رہی ہوتی ہیں اور عوام کے سامنے ہم لوگ سن رہے ہوتے ہیں کہ بالکل جھوٹ بات کر رہی ہوتی ہیں اور ان کو شرم بھی نہیں آتی ایسی بات کرتے ہوئے. بس میں یہی سیکنڈلی بات میں یہ پوچھنا چاہوں گی کہ ہماری ایک ڈریم ہے کہ اللہ کرے کہ پی ٹی آئی کامیاب ہو جائے. جب ہم سوتے ہیں, جب ہم آپ دیکھتے ہیں کہ یا اللہ یہ خواب اس طرح پورا ہو جائے کہ آنکھ کھولے تو آپ لوگ آ جائیں اور ہم لوگ اپنے پاکستان کو دوبارہ اسی حالت میں دیکھیں. ایک آخری کوشچن میں یہ کہوں گی, ایک کوشچن میں پوچھوں گی, وہ یہ ہے کہ پی ٹی آئی جو PTI پلیز میرا ایک کویسچن ہوگا کہ پی ٹی آئی ان فیوچر کسی دوسری پارٹی کو بھی جوائن کرے گی یا اکیلے ہی لڑیں گی, اکیلے ہی یہ جنگ لڑیں گی؟
پوری سیاسی ویری کوئک آنسر دس. جتنی بھی سیاسی اسٹیبلشمنٹ اور پولیٹیکل اسٹیبلشمنٹ we have to take them on because they are part of the problem, they are not a part of the solution. اب unfortunately یہ بات ہے, کیا کریں, we have to do it. And but the people of Pakistan also will serve with us, which is what we want.
Yes, I know this is very good person in other parts.
Thank you very much. We have a question here, please.
مجھے یہ کہنا ہے کہ ہماری ساری سیاست جو ہے وہ اسلام آباد اور پنجاب کے گرد گھومتی ہے. بلوچستان پنجاب کا ایک جو گاؤں ہے اس سے بھی بیکورڈ ہے. تو ابھی ویلکم آپ ادھر گئے ہیں اور اب ان کے کچھ حالات جو میرا تو خیال ہے کہ ایک کیپٹل جو ہے نہیں تو کوئی بڑے وزیر جو بنے فیٹے کہ انشاءاللہ جب گورنمنٹ بنے گی تو وہاں پہ ایک بننا چاہیے لائک اسلام آباد کیبنٹ میٹنگ وہاں ہونی چاہیے, کیونکہ یہ ان کی سب سے بڑی جو ان سی خواہش ہے کہ ہماری بھی کوئی حال سنیں. مجھے وہاں پہ میں جاتا ہوں کیونکہ میں چیریٹی ورک کرتا ہوں, میں کوئٹہ اور زیارت ان جگہوں پہ بہت گیا ہوں. پانی نہیں ہے اور ایجوکیشن نہیں ہے. جو وہاں کے جو لڑکے ہیں بالکل گاؤں کے اندر بہترین کرکٹر ہیں, انہوں نے مجھے اتنی ریکویسٹ کر رہے ہیں کہ خان صاحب کو ایک کہہ دوں کہ ہماری ٹیم ہار تو جاتی ہے, اگر کیوں نہیں ایک لڑکے کو بلوچستان کے ایک لڑکے کو چانس دے دیا جائے, چاہے 120 میں دے دیا جائے. آپ کے آفس میں اتنے فون کیے ہیں کہ کسی طرح میرا یہ میسج ان کا میں وہ پہنچاؤں. پلیز آپ میرا یہ میسج
ہم بھی پہنچائیں گے, یہ بھی پہنچائیں گے. تھینک یو.
میرا ایک کوشچن ہے جناب, جس طرح پاکستان میں ایمرجنسی پرابلمس میں ہم لوگوں نے انرجی کا مسئلہ سب سے پہلے لگتا ہے کہ آپ نہیں یہ سمجھتے کہ ایجوکیشن جو ہمارے ریفارمز ہیں اس ٹائم ہماری جو اسٹیٹ ہے وہ اس ٹائم ایمرجنسی سچویشن ہے ان ٹرمز آف ایجوکیشن, تو پی ٹی آئی کی ایک ایجوکیشن پالیسی بھی آتی تاکہ وہ ایشوز جو پاکستان کے اندر ایجوکیشن سے ریلیٹڈ ہے یا جو لوگ کنفیوز ہیں تو وہ ایڈریس ہو جاتے ہیں.
بنا رہے پالیسی بنانا, میننگ فل پالیسی دیٹ ول برنگ ریئل چینج از ناٹ ایزی. اگر ہم روٹین میں پرانی فائلوں کو ڈسٹ کر کے بنا دیں تو میں آپ کو ساری پالیسیز ایک ہفتے میں بنا دوں گا. بٹ مائی ینگ فرینڈ اوور دیئر ہیڈ اے پوائنٹ, وہ پہ یہ کہیں گے یہی وہ پرانی آپ نے کٹ اینڈ پیسٹ کر دیا. تو ہم نئی تھنکنگ کرنے کی کوشش کر رہے ہیں کہ ایجوکیشن کو کیسے ٹھیک کریں. آپ بتائیں. The point is we have ideas, we are talking with practitioners, we are talking with people who actually do it. میں خود بھی ایجوکیشن میں میرا بہت تجربہ ہے گراؤنڈ لیول پہ. بہت چیزیں ہو سکتی ہیں. شہزاد رائے نے ایک اسکول میں جادو کر دیا زندگی ٹرسٹ نے, ہم نے وہ ماڈل لے کے 85 گورنمنٹ اسکول میں لے گئے. سو دیر آر چینج از پاسبل. یہ میں بتا دوں آپ کو کہ پاکستانی عوام از ریڈی ٹو بی ایجوکیٹڈ اینڈ ہنگری فار ایجوکیشن. غریب سے غریب گھر میں وہ اپنے لڑکے کو بھی پڑھانا چاہتے ہیں اور اپنی لڑکی کو بھی پڑھانا چاہتے ہیں. ہمارا
برابر میں تو سوچ رہا تھا کہ جس طرح سسٹر نے کہا کہ 2-3 سالوں کی گنجائش تھی تو آج بھی منورٹی کو پیچھے چھوڑ دیا لنڈن ہم یہاں منورٹی کو لیڈ کر رہے ہیں پورے یو کے میں اور پاکستان میں بھی. سر میرا آپ سے یہ ایک کویشچن ہے, جس طرح آپ کے بی بی کے لیے پاکستان میں خان صاحب نے ریلیاں نکالی اور بہت سارے بیانات بھی دیے, تو خان صاحب نے کہا کہ اس کو چھڑوانا چاہیے, بہت کچھ خان صاحب نے ٹی وی کے اوپر بھی آ کے کیا. تو آسیہ بی بی جب کہ منورٹی وومین ہے 3 سال سے پریزن میں ہے, اس کے لیے خان صاحب نے آج تک کوئی نہ ٹی وی پہ نہ اپنے آفس میں نہ خان صاحب ایون جہاں بھی آتے ہیں تو خان صاحب نے آج تک کوئی بیان نہیں دیا. نمبر 2, جس طرح کے میڈم نے بیان کیا, آپ سے پوچھا کہ منورٹی کے بارے میں آپ کا کیا آپ رکھتے ہیں رائٹس, تو آپ نے کہا کہ سر جس طرح بہت ساری رسپیکٹ آپ نے بیان کی, وہ رسپیکٹ جیسے کہ ماضی میں گورنمنٹ سے ہمیں دیتی رہی, وہ رسپیکٹ ہے یا کہ یہ پی ٹی آئی کی نئی رسپیکٹ ہے؟ یہ لاسٹ میں میرا مختصر سے سوال یہ ہے کہ سر جس طرح پاکستان میں خان صاحب نے ہمارے منورٹی کے لوگوں کو ایک پارٹی بنائی ہے, جس طرح بریگیڈیئر سامسن ہے, سہیل کھوسا ہیں, جویل مائیکل ہیں, تو کیا یہ آپ سمجھتے ہیں کہ جس طرح پہلے منورٹی کو حقوق نہیں ملے یا یہ لوگ دلوائیں گے یا دلوا سکیں گے؟
دیکھیں ہمیں چیلنج چینج لانے ہیں, ایک تبدیلی لانے ہیں. یہ بھی تبدیلی کا ایک بڑا نمایاں حصہ ہے کہ ہماری ہسٹری مائنورٹیز کو ٹریٹ کرنا ہو یا بلوچستان کی مائنورٹی پرووائڈ کرنا بہت بری ہے. ہم نے لوگوں کو ناراض کیا ہے, ہم نے لوگوں کا خیال نہیں کیا, اور ہماری آپ یہ دیکھیں, آپ مائنورٹی کی بات کر رہے ہیں, ہم جس طرح سے اپنی بہنوں کو ٹریٹ کرتے ہیں, جس طرح سے ان کے اوپر ظلم ہوتے ہیں, وہ ایسی چیزیں ہیں جو ہمیں سب چینج کرنا ہے. سو بیسکلی خان صاحب سے جو باٹم 50% آف دا پاپولیشن ہے, ان کا ہم نے سب سے پہلے خیال کرنا ہے. اور ہمارے اس کے علاوہ ادر تھنگ ہے ویکسٹ ہے نا, ویکسٹ سوسائٹی میں اگر ایک سوسائٹی اور ایک گورنمنٹ ان کا خیال نہیں کر سکتی آف دا ویکسٹ پارٹ آف دا نیشن, پھر وہ اور کوئی کام بھی نہیں کر سکتے. ہمارا کام ہے آپ کو پروٹیکٹ کرنا, آپ کے رائٹس کو پروٹیکٹ کرنا, آپ کو رائٹس دینا. آپ کے رائٹس ہیں جیسے ہمارے رائٹس ہیں ویسے آپ کے رائٹس ہیں. So we believe that we will inshallah fulfill our promises, and it's a culture change. ہم لوگ ایک اور کلچر لانا چاہتے ہیں پاکستان میں. ہم لوگ بھی زندگی میں چینج لے آئے نا اپنی, اور لوگ بھی چینج لے کے آ رہے ہیں, اور اس وقت فیلنگ یہی ہے جو 30 اکتوبر کے جلسے میں آپ نے دیکھی اور 25 دسمبر کو کراچی میں دیکھی کہ عوام بالکل تنگ آ گئی ہے, اور عوام ایکچولی از آؤٹ دیئر ان دا اسٹریٹس. وہ لوگ جو باہر نکلتے نہیں تھے, بیکاز اب بہت ہو گئی ہے, انف از انف ہو گیا پاکستان میں. اور ہم نے مائنورٹیز کو, فیمیلز کو, اپنے بلوچی بھائیوں کو, پختون جو لوگ لڑ رہے ہیں ہمارے ساتھ, ان کو سب نے ہم سب کو مرہم لگانی ہے, اور انشاءاللہ تعالیٰ ایک بن کے چلنا ہے.
سوری, یہ آپ نے یہ میرے سوال کا جواب سر ایک لفظ بھی نہیں دیا. میں نے پوچھا کہ سر آسیہ بی بی کے بارے میں آپ نے کیا سوچا, کیوں خان صاحب نے آج تک کیا خان صاحب ڈرتے ہیں دوسرے لوگوں کی؟
میں نے اس بات پہ میرے سامنے میرے ہوتے ہوئے کہیں بات نہیں ہوئی, آپ صحیح کہہ رہے ہیں, بٹ آئی ول ٹیک اٹ بیک امیڈیٹلی. میں جب پرسوں جا رہا ہوں 26 تاریخ ہماری میٹنگ ہے, اس میٹنگ میں ہم پہلے اس سوال جو آپ نے کیا ہے اس کو میں رکھوں گا.
Questions. I would also like to ask a connected question to this, because this is the area of my own research. No, 1 second, if I could intervene, is that I would like to make the distinction between a protected citizen of Islam and an equal citizen of Islam, and I would like to leave that there as just a comment. Ji.
मेरा नाम सज्जाद है और मैं नवाब शाह सिंध से हूँ. मैं ये जानना चाह रहा हूँ कि पीटीआई ने सिंध में क्या किया है. सिंध में तो कुछ भी नहीं है, सुनामी उड़ के कराची में जाती है, कराची से फिर वापस हम सिंध में ही नहीं रह सकते. मैंने अपने 3 गांव है मेरे, सबको मैंने राजी किया वो पीटीआई को वोट देंगे, लेकिन सामने कोई नहीं है. कौन खड़ा होगा इलेक्शन में? पीटीआई.
हमारी बिल्कुल आपका बड़ा बहुत वैलिड पॉइंट है ना, बिल्कुल सही कह रहे हैं, बिल्कुल सही. सुनामी फ्लाई करती है ऊपर से, मगर हमने अपने आप को, बेटा बात सुन लें, हमने अपने आप को सिंध में रीऑर्गेनाइज किया है. हमने एक स्ट्रेटजी बनाई है. खान साहब खुद सिंध गांव-गांव जाने का एक प्रोग्राम बना रहे हैं 3rd वीक ऑफ जून में इंशाअल्लाह, और नवाब शाह जाएंगे हम, और हम इंशाअल्लाह हैदराबाद में जलसा करेंगे.
पर सर जब भी नवाज शरीफ अभी घूम रहा है पूरे सिंध में.
एक्चुअली हुआ ये है कि हमने ये बातें अनाउंस कर दी पहले, और एकदम पूछ गया वो सिंध. मगर नवाज शरीफ का मैं अर्ज कर दूं, सिंधी मैं क्योंकि जनूबी पंजाब से हूँ, सराइके हूँ, तो मेरा कई सिंधियों से बड़े ताल्लुक है हमारे। सिंधियों को नवाज शरीफ को सिंधियों ने पसंद किया, अपनाया, उसको वोट दिए और PMLN के लोग इलेक्ट हुए वहां से। उसके बाद में जो नवाज शरीफ ने जिस तरह उनके साथ किया, अब नवाज शरीफ को चाहे वो जितने भी चक्कर लगाए हैं ना, वो एक्सेप्टेबल नहीं है। और इंशाल्लाह ताला हमारी एक स्ट्रेटजी है और हम निकलेंगे वहां पे। और वैसे भी आपने पोल देखा होगा, PTI is today the number 2 party, although 15%, but we are the number 2 party even now in people. और हमने बहुत मेहनत कर ली है और हमने खुद जाना है।
One second, I'm only going to ask you, since you two gentlemen have stood up by yourself, if these are policy questions, and if this is not something about... No, ये बात नहीं है, सब ना शुरू
You have defined your policy with America, but I just want to ask you a concrete question. Whether when the time comes, when you say you redefine your policy with America, when the time comes, would you be able enough and have enough guts to be as confrontational as Iran is, if the time comes?
Again, we will stick to our national self-interest. We will push our national self-interest, but that does not mean that we will have to confront everybody. We want to live in peace with everybody, but we have to do it. We have to do it with respect. And we have to do it.
Just a quick question.
Yeah, I know, but that is how it is. अगर sacrifice करनी पड़ेगी तो sacrifice करेंगे. मगर तो बात नहीं.
Okay,
just one last quick question. Tareen sir, why has PTI appointed Azim Ibrahim, former British paratrooper, and he's advisor to the British Armed Forces, and PTI have appointed him into a very sensitive role as strategic policy advisor? Is that not a sign that PTI will also continue foreign interest in Pakistan?
No, it's not, sir. Not at all.
Okay, thank you.
Not at all. Mr. Azim Ibrahim has been appointed. All his policy initiatives or whatever he suggests come to me, and we decide. So in PTI, the politicians decide and the leadership of the PTI decides. It doesn't matter whether Mr. Azim Ibrahim is from UK, we can appoint somebody from the US if we want to give somebody a chance. और the फैसला हम करेंगे बेटा. Remember that. We will not let anybody tell us what to do.
Okay, thank you. One second. No, actually, to answer your question, I would like to point out that when Pakistan was created, Muhammad Asad was called over by Iqbal as to be our special envoy because he was considered to have such special skills. It shouldn't
but
be
look at the mess for the next 64 years.
No, but the not a question. I don't think it's a question. If you are talking about dual nationalities should be allowed back into Pakistan to participate in elections, then we should also see that whatever skill base is available to the country should be invited over to offer services. Anyhow,
Thank you.
I'm not being naive, I believe you. And I'm not a member of the PTI. And, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank you on behalf of the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf and on behalf of the Pakistan Society of SOAS, and especially for Amir and all his team who have done so much work. We wish